We can pinpoint exactly in the organization where the breach is occurring. So historically, you'd see a company go, oh, we have bot mitigation, geogating, a web application firewall, and we know you're being breached or being attempted to be, somebody's attempting to breach you at this point in time. We can actually pinpoint, hey, guess what? You're being breached in the HR function in London right now. You're being breached in the finance function in Australia right now. And then it sends out a message to all of our other clients and says, we need to lock down this because this is the adversary we're seeing right now is using this kind of malware.
Welcome back, everybody, to another online business briefing brought to you by smallcapvoice.com, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest and freshest plays out there in the market today. And I'm excited to be speaking with Cycurion today. The company's traded on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol CYCU. Important news just hit the wire today, so that's the dateline. Tuesday, October 28th. Here's the headline. Cycurion shareholder letter explains path to expanded margins and recurring revenue for 2026. That in and of itself is enough to get anyone excited. I'm excited to be speaking with Kevin Kelly for the very first time. Kevin, thanks so much for making time for us here today at smallcapvoice.com. We appreciate hearing from you more about your company today.
And it's great to be here. And, I'm excited about our conversation, and it's great to meet you as well.
So we'll use that news today as a backdrop, if you will. But for those who may not be familiar with your company yet, let's start off with what is the business model and the markets that you operate in.
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, Cycurion is a tech-enabled AI-based cybersecurity company. And so specifically what that means is we do the best we can to implement the best technologies out there vis-a-vis AI to make sure that we lock down and secure organizations and protect them from all of the nefarious actors out there today. And they're coming at us today, Stuart, from all different angles. So it's more critical than ever, whether it's the individual angle or all the way up through to the large corporations. So that's what we do. And what we specifically cover is we do a lot of business in the federal and state, the federal government and state governments, with the DOJ, the DOD, as well as many others. In addition to that, we're doing a lot of work with state and local governments, whether it's Texas, whether it's Illinois right now, and we're branching off into numerous others. The second area, and we're excited about this area because it's something new for us as a firm, is we're going towards the corporate side. The government calls it commercial, I call it corporate, and that is a focus on the small and medium enterprises. Recently, we'll probably touch upon this later, we were with NACHO, National Association of City and County Healthcare Providers, at their conference in San Diego, or out west. It was shocking to us because at that conference, of the 3,500 members, maybe 1,200 or so were there, over 50%, 60% had some sort of cyber attack in the last 12 months, and another 200 had some sort of ransom. So that's a very unserved market, if you will, the SMEs. They just can't afford the larger cybersecurity companies. So for us, given our AI-based technology, that provides a huge opportunity. And the third component, with our relationships with the IQSTs of this world, the Spanish telecommunications company that I know you guys know well, and LSV down in Latin America, we are expanding internationally, not just for the sake of saying we have an overseas office, but we're really following our clients. State and local, federal is a big avenue. Corporate SMEs is a huge opportunity for us, and then the geographical expansion. And the overarching, if you look at the horizontal axis of that, it would be the products and services we offer.
Boy, those are some unsettling numbers you just gave us for an underserved market. So I'm glad someone is coming in to help rescue some of these companies. You bring up IQST. Viewers and listeners, you can find our earlier interviews with IQ Stel there at our YouTube page, where we talk about Cycurion. And I want you to go to their website as well to learn about this company, Cycurion.com. That's CYCU. RION, Cycurion.com. Right there on the homepage, they've got a cybersecurity audit that you can go through. You can book a demo with the company. So a real consumer-based, front-facing website. I love that with what you guys do. And you talked about who you're working with the DOJ, the DOD. These are big validations in and of themselves. That takes a lot of time. We have other clients that have been with us 4 and 5 years that work with the Department of Defense, and we know those contracts are renewing, recurring, but they're very difficult just to get in the running for. So big validation for you there. You're our guest today. You are the you are the chairman and CEO of the company. Tell us a little bit about your background, Kevin, and the team you assembled around yourself.
Sure. Well, I started my career, we touched upon this earlier a little bit. I spent 17 years roughly with a firm called Heidrick and Struggles, another Nasdaq company. I started in the Tokyo office as a partner out there, and after a few years ended up being promoted to run the Asia Pacific business. So we had about 14, 15 countries from India all the way through to New Zealand out there. After that, I moved and was promoted to go to become president of the international business, which included everything outside of the US, excluding Latin America. So all the way down to Johannesburg through the Middle East, Dubai. And we had an office in Beirut, Lebanon at the time, as well as Asia Pacific. That was my international experience. I spent around 12 years overseas, which was a great experience in terms of understanding and working and collaborating with those in the international domain. And then I became CEO of that company circa 2006 and was CEO until 2013, end of 2013. So after that, I did some advisory and consulting work, and in 2016, started a cybersecurity company with two of my classmates, or one of my classmates from Duke, the Fuqua School of Business there, and that focused on secure telecoms. That company is doing very well today, locking down and securing comms for, again, the DOJ, the DOD. And that led me to Cycurion. And so I met Alvin McCoy, the CFO and founder of Cycurion, and we hit it off. We were looking at ways we could partner together as companies, and given we both went to the Fuqua School of Business, we hit it off right away, and we developed that relationship over a couple of years. And aspirationally at the time, Cycurion was looking at going public, and it just made sense for me and for them because I had run a large public global company on Nasdaq, and they were looking at becoming a Nasdaq company. So that's how we ended up here. Quite frankly, what drew me here is the foundation. There's a tremendous foundation we have in place today, as we touched upon earlier, Stuart, in terms of the federal and state and local governments in which to build, which we're looking at a fairly significant cybersecurity firm over the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, speaking of let's look at 2025, if you will. And again, using this as the backdrop with your shareholder letter, which again, it really does, viewers and listeners, give you a nice deep dive into this company within a singular press release, which I love. And of course, as a former CFO myself, I love the two words put together, recurring revenue. It makes my life easier. It's just one of these things. So to have that in the headline, now that I've been in the investor relations corporate communications business for the last 25 years, I was really excited to read this. So when you look back on your time with the company here in 2025, and feel free to go back before your time, and really, what do you see as you just touched on it? You touched on the foundation and the technology being really what drew you into this. For investors, what should we look towards as the milestones that the company's been able to achieve so far?
I would say there's quite a number of things. I think this is, again, thank you for this opportunity. It's a good opportunity to actually highlight some of these, as you mentioned. Well, we started as a services company. And so a lot of the contracts we'd go in and provide over, whether it's interim CIO work, whether it's locking down and securing holistically a company's infrastructure, whether it's data migration. So there's a number of things that we're brought in to do. But what we're really excited about is part of the acquisition strategy prior to me getting here was to grow the firm from a product standpoint. And we acquired a company called the ARx platform, which is really our predominant AI-driven technology today, from Israel around 6 years ago. And why I'm excited to share that with you is we have finally had the ability to launch that into the United States. And so if you look at the cybersecurity overall, the market overall, it's highly fragmented. And so what we're seeing is 9, 10 years ago, up to about a year ago. So for the last 9 or 10 years, it was the old IBM thing that we've all heard. No one's going to get fired for using IBM. So they would go to the Palantirs, the CrowdStrikes, all those brand name cyber companies. But again, you mentioned it earlier, and we touched upon it. The SME market's completely underserved. They just cannot afford them. Over the last 18, 24 months, organizations have been more willing. Technology, as we know, has evolved at such a rapid pace that there's been so many changes that companies now are willing to accept, companies like Cycurion. So the timing is great for us in terms of using our products and services. The reason I mentioned the ARx platform is, yes, it's a web application firewall, and also it does geo-gating, bot mitigation, a lot of the things that we see with normal firewalls. However, what we have is very unique, and we're the only company right now that we know of that has this capability, and that is we can pinpoint exactly in the organization where the breach is occurring. So historically, you'd see a company go, oh, we have bot mitigation, geo-gating, a web application firewall, and we know you're being breached or somebody's attempting to breach you at this point in time. We can actually pinpoint and say, hey, guess what? You're being breached in the HR function in London right now. You're being breached in the finance function in Australia right now. And then it sends out a message to all of our other clients or all of the other clients with whom we're working, and sends a flare up, if you will, and says, we need to lock down this because this is the adversary we're seeing right now is using this kind of malware, et cetera. So the ability to pinpoint exactly where the breach is occurring is great because it enables the company to say, we need to be a lot better with our security around the finance function or the HR function. And ironically, a lot of it, 90% of companies' breaches today occur from human error, which we've seen. And whether it's going through the HR function, or a big one is going through the EAs or admins of executives, and that could be executives around the globe. So that's a major focal point for them as well. HR, the finance function, administrative assistants, et cetera. So it's that we try to protect these companies from.
Outstanding. Wow. Not only is that, well, it's exciting. I hate to use that word about something so critical, but the fact that you were able to delineate yourself from your competition as well and have that competitive advantage of being able to hone in and say, hey, it's your HR department in the UK, that kind of specific, to be that specific, we should say, easy for me to say, is probably a big advantage. And again, we're talking about a company in Cycurion that is serving an underserved market. They're not going after the biggest piece of the pie out there. And I think that's important for people who want to get in on a stock at the ground floor the way we can here with Cycurion, a company listed on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol CYCU. Well, a lot of what I wanted to ask you is in today's CEO letter to the shareholders, but let's talk about goals then. We read about a massive backlog. We read about a lot of different opportunities in today's press release, but since we've got you, let's go ahead and get your own color on this. What do you want to see the company achieve to round out 2025? And of course, based on the foundation you've built this year, what do you want to achieve in 2026?
Sure. I mean, just take a step back because you jogged my memory on something. I just want to give a little specific example of what we just talked about in the SME market. So this is a real life example. An automobile dealership gets hacked, right? And so, no one ever thinks that somebody is going to hack an automobile dealership. What's the point, right? But they can get the payment information. There's a lot of information they can get. Yeah. So in this particular case, the owner of the automobile company says, I'm not paying you $1,000 ransom, right? And so that whole dynamic's changed for next time. We can get into that whole piece of the equation. But so then they refused to pay the ransomware. They had the adversary shut down the systems and technology. They refused to pay them. But because they didn't have the protection, it ended up costing them $250,000 for all new technology. So those are the types of things that, for a company or a car dealership, that's a big impact. So we try to protect the small and medium enterprises, as well as a lot of the associations that we work with from that standpoint. But to fast forward in terms of what you were asking, aspirationally, our goal is to grow this company exponentially over the next 12 to 18 months. I would love to see us in a place in 18 months where we're closer to 75 to $80 million in revenue. And conservatively, I think the foundation that we talked about is a great start for us to get there. I've mentioned consistently to the investor community that I'm speaking with, the institutional investor community, that we are going to grow 25% organically, and specifically because human capital costs are, as we both know, are very high, given your CFO background in real estate. So I want to add people where we need to actually meet client demands. We're a very small company now. As I mentioned, our partnerships with groups like Central Square that handles all of the 911 calls across the United States for EMTs, for fire departments, for police departments. We're in 3 states now. So when I talk about organic growth, it's really grasping those opportunities and filling in the pieces where we need to have great client coverage and go deeper and broader, to use these overused terms, into our current clients. 75% is going to be inorganic, and we've started down that path, and we hope to share some exciting news down the road with some people, because we need to grow. I joke all the time that I came from running a very large company, close to over $1 billion market cap at the time. My CFO was a former Merrill Lynch investment banker, had his own portfolio there. So neither one of us came to say, hey, we're really happy running a 20 million cybersecurity company. So we saw the opportunity, we're embracing it. So just to touch upon, a lot of that will be on the corporate side. Again, the SMEs that we talked about. We've made a great foray into life sciences and healthcare, as you can see with the pharmaceutical announcements we've done, as well as some other healthcare companies. And the education space has been very, very kind to us. But again, going into, and there's another market for, we talk about next time, the whole education in colleges and universities are they don't have enough support when it comes to IT, particularly the cybersecurity company. So again, the corporate side is in the international side, but we're excited about getting the products. I mean, why the product area? Well, the products are, the recurring revenue that, CFOs like yourself know and love, right? So you see that recurring revenue, the value of the company increases exponentially because you can count on that revenue. So our products now, whether it's the CyberShield product or the ARx technology that I just talked about, are just 2 pieces. We are in discussions with acquiring other products that will give our clients a holistic set of tools when they come to Cycurion, and the margins are higher. So in the services side, you're looking at roughly 30 to 35% margins. On the product side, we can get as high as 70 to 75%, and that's recurring revenue, and it's less human capital intensive. So that's the piece that we're really excited about, Stuart.
Yeah, right there. Those margins could make anybody excited. And not only that, in a recurring revenue model. And I was just scrolling down and got to that point, strategic acquisitions, amplifying AI leadership, bringing on and working alongside some of the great minds within this industry. A lot going on in this press release once again. So as we wrap up this first interview, Kevin, any closing thoughts or comments? Being that you are, and your CFO, you've come from these massive backgrounds. Obviously, you see an opportunity here because that's what, gentlemen like yourselves, that's what you've been groomed and trained to do, is to see, hold on a second here, this may only be this size company now, but I see potential here. And so sometimes it's not always easy to purvey that potential to a potential investor, a potential shareholder. The value proposition for your company, you just mentioned it, the margins, the recurring revenue model, the validation you have by your existing customer base, the validation you have from your backlog. But any closing thoughts or comments that you might leave with a potential investor?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that question. I would say, listen, we have been public for 8 months. We've spent the first 8 months really, and it was a de-SPAC, so a lot of people don't know that we were a de-SPAC, and so there was an overhang of a lot of expenses tied to going through that process. Additionally, if you look at the research of SPACs or D-SPACs over the last couple of years, and I spent a lot of time on this, most stocks that D-SPAC come out between $8 and $10, and they drop to $1, to $1.50, maybe $2. And that's been the market. And so as we move into 2026, I'm very happy with the foundation we've laid so far. And we're focusing simultaneously on liability management. We've spent a lot of time, it mentions in there, cleaning up our balance sheet, decreasing the debt that's on the books, and to enable us to go raise capital for these acquisitions. You will have a cleaner balance sheet going into 2020. We have the ELOC in place. We still have $54 million of ELOC capital available vis-a-vis, again, acquisitions, growth, recruiting. So we have the tools there, and we have great clients. I think that over the last couple of months, the contracts we've seen a significant increase. We're up to 74, 75 million. Oh, and that averages out to 3 years, right? So already we can see the growth that's laid out for us over the next 2 to 3 years. It's how do we add on to that and become really what I deem as a very boutique cybersecurity powerhouse that enables us to go out and serve the underserved, if you will. I just came up with that, but I think serving the underserved community right now is what we want to do. And, we're passionate about it. It's just on a personal note, I see every day companies it bothers me what I see that companies go through and the individuals who run these companies. And it's a tough market out there. We have to be right 100% of the time. The adversary has to be right one time. And those aren't great odds, but we're out there to help these clients and hopefully make them, more comfortable and when they go home to their families at night and they go to bed, they can sleep a little better knowing that by hook or by crook, we're gonna support them and we're gonna protect them from the adversaries that are out there waiting to attack.
Kevin Kelly, he is the chairman and chief executive officer of Cycurion Incorporated, traded on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol CYCU. Go visit them at their website, cycurion.com. All you really need is that ticker symbol to do your due diligence, add them to your watch list, pull up those press releases. That'll have the links to their homepage. Go see what's going on at the website because it is a great website. You're going to keep on serving the underserved. I think that's brilliant. I love having you here. We look forward to great things from you and your company here in 2025, but well beyond that. And hopefully sometime down the line, we'll get to see how the progress is coming in the year 2026.
I look forward to that. Thank you very much.
All right, for Kevin Kelly, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. And again, leave your comments for this company. If you'd like to learn more, we'll get those questions in front of the company, and we'd love for you to take a deep dive into this company and add them to your watch list. For Kevin Kelly, again, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for watching.